Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. It is currently January 10th and it is a snow day here in Tennessee. We are currently in the middle of our once a year snowstorm and I'm off work for the day and the snow is just starting. It's been about 3 hours since it started falling and should be going for the rest of the morning into the afternoon pretty late. So I thought that this would be a very fun weekend to take advantage of the snow and being stuck inside to do a little weekend reading vlog, especially because I have no other plans besides reading a bunch of books. So I wasn't going to vlog this weekend. I just wanted to kind of read a bunch of books and hang out at home, but I decided to go ahead and turn this into a vlog because I think that winter vlogs are super cozy. I love the snow. I love winter personally, and I'm really excited to have a snow day and not have any schoolwork and not have to go to work and just be able to relax for today and tomorrow and hopefully Sunday and get a ton of reading done. This also works out very well because it is the Escape Readathon weekend, which is a 24 and 48 hour readathon that my bestie Stage and I co-host once a month together on Discord. So this lines up very well with that readathon happening starting tonight. My vlog will not be aligning with the exact hours of the readathon, but I will be taking advantage, of course, of the readathon happening by matching my books to those prompts and dedicating a bunch of time to reading over the next couple of days. I think this vlog is just going to be happening Friday today and tomorrow. We'll see what happens after that if the snow starts melting and we can start going out a little bit more and whatnot, but definitely a 2-day reading vlog where I plan to get a ton of reading done. So let's go ahead and jump into the books that I plan to read super quickly. First up, I need to make some progress on The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. I have been reading this book for a couple of days. It is a fantasy book. I don't read a ton of fantasy, but I have been kind of craving it recently, especially like a good romantasy, and this one seems to fit the bill. I have it divided into sections right here and just try to get a section done every day, but I'm a couple of days behind. So the goal is just to catch up on my reading that I planned out for myself, and then I'll be done with this book for the weekend. I don't want to consume a whole fantasy book in one day. I feel like I kind of need to spread it out personally and be able to take it all in and take my time with it and not rush through it. So that's my plan for this one. This is a romantasy book about Bristol who finds her way into the world of fae and monsters after making a bargain and being taken away. So we'll see what happens with this one. Not a lot of context yet about what exactly is going on, but I am liking it so far and I'm excited to see where I can get to with this one this weekend. This is my main priority for today, but after or while I'm getting those sections read, I also would like to start reading The Last to Know by Jo Furness. This is the oldest NetGalley arc that I have currently, and I still have not read this book. I've had it on my shelf for about 4 years now, if not more than that. So need to get this one read. I do have the audiobook for it and I plan to binge this one ideally today before the Escape Readathon starts this evening, which is when I'll start talking about my 3 TBR books for the readathon. But for right now, these are my 2 goals for the day. While reading these 2 books, I do plan to get some organizing done and some cleaning out, but I also just kind of want to relax and be able to focus on books. And I'm gonna make a yummy dinner, I hope, tonight, and just have a very relaxing and fun day reading, and I am very excited about it. I'll probably just go ahead and do updates every couple of hours once I make some good progress in these books or what I'm doing around the apartment, but I'll check in occasionally and we'll see how much I can read in the next 2 days. It is currently 9:37, so it's still pretty early. I've been up for a couple of hours and I've already gotten a bunch of other stuff done. So now it's just time to read and dive into some really good books. I'll hop back in here soon with my first update and we will chat more then.
I've never been exposed like this before. I'm good at shutting you out. I've always had a way of keeping closed. Being hiding, I've been calling out your name from the darkness, thinking it's too late. If you're finding I've been too much on your plate, I'll keep hiding, calling
Hello y'all, it is 1:15 in the afternoon. I just went for a walk in the snow. It's actually not that cold outside, at least from what I could tell. I was very bundled up though, so I actually broke into a little bit of a sweat by the time I came back to my apartment. But I have gotten some reading done this afternoon, or this morning slash early afternoon, and wanted to hop in here for a quick update. First, I have read one more of my daily sections from The Courting of Bristol Keats. I do still need to read about 70 pages to be caught up to the start of the next section where I'm supposed to be by the end of today. So ideally, the next thing that I do is read another section of this book so I can get done with my reading for this weekend for this one. And then I also have officially gotten to 30% in The Last to Know by Joe Furness. This is a slow burn mystery, I would say, about this couple who moves to the husband's old family home after years of being separated from that place, and the wife, whose name is Rose, is learning some things about the family that she didn't know before, and is seeing some things from her husband that she doesn't quite love. So she's navigating being in this new place but kind of feeling displaced and trying to figure out what the truth is surrounding this family, because nobody in the town really likes them and she wants to get to the bottom of things. She is an investigative journalist on the documentary side and has gone through some pretty traumatic things with her husband in their past. So I'm curious to see more about that and how that potentially plays a role in the current plot of the book. But so far it's pretty good. I'm not like obsessed with it, but I also don't hate it by any means. So I will be curious to see where this one ends up going. In terms of The Courting of Bristol Keats, not much more has happened since I kind of gave y'all a very quick synopsis at the beginning of this vlog. This is just about Bristol, who is currently in the world of the Fae, and I think this world is called Elfame, I believe that's the name of this magical world that she's in right now, and she is kind of being forced, but also she's getting kind of rewarded for what she's going to do. But she is kind of being told that she might potentially be able to help this world save itself from this door that was open that is letting monsters into their world from somewhere else. And so she doesn't believe that she's any like Fae blood or anything like that, but the people in this world are convinced that she does. So currently she's kind of starting to be tested to see if their beliefs are true, and she is also determined to find her father, who is somehow connected to this world but was supposed to be dead but might not actually be dead. So there's a lot going on in here, but also it feels like nothing is going on at the same time. So I'll be curious to see how it shapes up and the romance aspect of it, because right now like I'm not really getting those vibes, but we're also only 132 pages into this 550 page book, and there's a second book that is supposed to be coming out at some point. I believe that this is going to be a duology, so we'll see how it keeps going. I do not plan to finish it this weekend. It's not my priority, but I do want to get my daily readings done and catch up to where I'm supposed to be. So hopefully by my next update I'll be done with my readings for this for today. That is my big goal, and ideally I do that and also finish The Last to Know by 8 p.m. tonight, because that is when the Escape readathon officially starts for the weekend. So I'll probably hop back in here right around then to give y'all an update, and then I want to share the first book that I plan to read tonight, which is a little novella. So I'll talk about that in my next update, and we'll keep going for the weekend. But right now the snow is still falling. It goes in like spurts of like falling a little bit harder and then slowing down, but right now it's kind of going a little bit harder than it was earlier. It was kind of fun walking around in the snow though, and I might go do it one more time this afternoon before the sun goes down, or like the sky gets dark, because there's not really any sun right now, or tomorrow, to see kind of what the roads are looking like. So we'll see what happens with that, but kind of just cozying up and getting ready to read some more, and hopefully I can be very productive, and we'll see what happens. So I'll hop back in here with my next update in a couple hours, and we'll chat more then, and I'm going to get all prepped for the Escape readathon weekend.
Calling out your name.
Hello y'all again. I wanted to hop in here to do one last update before the Escape readathon starts. It's almost 5 o'clock and I feel like I'm making pretty good progress to be where I want to be before the readathon starts in 3 hours. So my goal of course was to finish my reading for The Courting of Bristol Keats today, and I'm almost there. I've got 30 pages left to read today, so I should be able to finish that in the next 30 minutes or so, 30 to 45 minutes, and be able to check that off my list. I am liking it a little bit more now. I have read like 50 or 55 pages since my last update, and I'm starting to kind of feel a little bit between Tigan and Bristol, who are kind of our two main characters, I guess, although we do follow the perspectives of several characters in this book. But he is the appointed king currently, while their country is kind of under a lot of tension from this greater ruler who kidnapped his brother, and so he had to step up to be the king, and he is kind of in charge of finding these recruits like Bristol and getting them to be able to find the door that they're searching for to close the portal of monsters coming in. They're having a little bit more interaction now, and I'm really liking it, especially like the one-on-one interactions, and I'm excited to see where these two characters go. But I should be able to finish my reading for this today and then be able to put it aside for the rest of the weekend. And I also have about 90 minutes left, or a little bit less than that, of the audiobook for The Last to Know. I will say I'm not obsessed with this book right now. I'm finding it kind of hard to stay focused on it, even when I'm working on other things. Normally that's when like my mind can really engage with what I'm listening to, but with this one I'm just not quite focused on what's going on. I don't really care about the plot, but I'm gonna keep trudging along. I only have like 100 pages left, and I would like to write a quick review for it, as it is a NetGalley arc, and I don't want to mess up my ratio by just not reviewing it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that once I finish the book. But again, it should be an easy finish. I do plan to listen to it while I cook dinner once I'm done with this vlog update. And then I have one more reading goal for tonight, and that is to read a whole book once the Escape readathon starts. But that's easy because this is a 106-page book, so ideally I can read it in 1 or 2 sittings this evening, and that is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. I have read Nothing But Blackened Teeth by the author, and I got this one for Christmas. It is a short story. I think it's a fairy tale retelling, and I think specifically it's a Little Mermaid retelling, but that's all I know about it. That's all I want to know about it. I love a good retelling, and I also like a good novella, so I'm excited to dive into this one. My brother got it for me, and he'll be happy to know that I'm reading it right away instead of letting it sit on my shelves for months and months, if not years. So my final reading plan for tonight is to read this one, and we'll see how it goes. But quick read, but it is a whole book, which is great for me, and it's a physical book that I have on my shelf, so I can knock that off my unread pile. But otherwise, no idea what this one is about, except for the fact that it is a Little Mermaid retelling, and we will see how it goes and how the author kind of takes a spin on the story. So that's my last plan for the evening. All of these things I think should be doable. I should also have hopefully an hour or so between finishing up The Courting and The Last to Know, and then before starting my novella, The Salt Grows Heavy. So maybe I can watch an episode of a TV show or play my Switch for a little bit. We will see, but I am excited for this evening and for the readathon to kick off. It is still snowing outside, but I think it's supposed to stop within the next hour or so, which is kind of sad. Not quite sure exactly how many inches of snow we got today, but it's probably between 3 and 5 inches, which is pretty good for Tennessee. I'm excited about it. I'm happy about it. So we'll see how long it sticks around for, I guess, and if it delays any traveling tomorrow and Sunday and things like that. But right now it's still going strong, so we'll see how long it officially lasts. I'll hop back in here maybe once more tonight or first thing tomorrow morning with my next update, but ideally by that point I'll have some more things to share with y'all about finishing some books, and we will chat more then.
Calling out your name. Calling out your name. Tell me how you're feeling. Since you got me out in the Told you it would be a slow burn. Beating, hiding, I've been calling out your name from the darkness, thinking it's too late. If you find it, I've been too much on your plate. I'll keep hiding, calling out.
Good morning, y'all. It is 9:30 on Saturday, and I wanted to hop in here very quickly before I start hosting some live sprints in about 30 minutes for the readathon weekend and share that I did finish The Salt Grows Heavy. I wrapped up the last 30 pages of it this morning. I ended up giving this book 2 stars. I think that unfortunately books like this just aren't for me. I felt like I had to keep rereading paragraphs over and over again because the language was just so flowery and I couldn't quite understand what was happening a lot of the time because there were just so many words to describe something, and it kind of made me feel lost. But this is a kind of Little Mermaid retelling, but it mostly follows what happens to the Little Mermaid, I guess, after she kills her prince. And so we're following her and the plague doctor and their journey and the little village that they stumble upon and what ends up happening there. And I thought that the plot was interesting, definitely morbid, but the language I think here is just really what threw me off and made me not really be able to get into the book because I couldn't understand what was being said, and I had to keep rereading parts over and over again. So unfortunately not for me, but the cover is beautiful, and I do think the concept of this very unique reimagining was very fascinating. I do have 2 reading goals for the rest of the day. Ideally I finish one of these, if not both of them. But first up is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. The only reason I have this book is because I got it from a little free library down in Georgia when I was visiting a couple months ago. I don't personally love this author or her books. I'm giving her one last chance to blow me away with one of her thrillers because I've read 2 of them and both were either 2 or 1 star for me, but everybody just raves about her, so I feel like I'm missing out on the hype. And when I saw that this one was free, I just had to snatch it up because why not? It does have very pretty dark red edges and it's in pretty good condition, which is nice. But you've got like a special naked hardcover and it's a very pretty book, but I don't know what to expect from this one. I'm just gonna go into it blind and see what happens, but if I don't like this one, then I will probably not read from this author ever again. But she is so widely loved and I'm not quite sure why her books don't click with me. But alongside this one, I also plan to read The Guest Room on my Kindle. This is a NetGalley read that I have. It's been on my shelves for a long time, so I definitely need to get it done. But these are my 2 big goals for the day. I don't have any other plans except to read. Might go for another walk later. The snow has officially stopped as of yesterday evening and the roads are slowly being cleared. So I'm gonna try to go for a walk later and hopefully that is good and very refreshing. It's been in my room for a little bit, so that's the plan for today. I'll hop back in here hopefully in a couple hours, my first updates, but ideally I make some good progress on How Much Where the Bodies Are and The Guest Room and give y'all synopses and my thoughts on them later this afternoon. Hello y'all, I'm here with an update. It is almost 2 p.m. It's 1:38 currently and I just wrapped up live sprints. I'm gonna go ahead and raise this camera just a tad, I think, and see if that's, yeah, that's a little bit better. Live sprints went very well. I was very productive, I feel like. I was able to read the first 89 pages of Home is Where the Bodies Are, and I read 30% of my NetGalley arc. But to give a very quick synopsis for this one, this is a thriller about these 3 siblings who are reunited after the death of their mother, and 7 years prior, their dad disappeared, ran away, nobody ever heard from him again. But right when their mother is about to die, she ends up whispering these words to the oldest daughter, I believe, and the words were, "Your father didn't disappear, don't trust ... And so now the oldest daughter is kind of sitting on the secret that her mother told her right before she passed away, and the siblings have been going through the house and have found these home videos, and in one of the home videos something very bad happens, and so now they're trying to figure out the truth of what happened over 20 years ago and if that has something to do with their father's disappearance, and is he really gone? Did he run away? Did something also happen to him? We don't know. But right now I'm actually really enjoying this book. I don't know if I had super high hopes for it just based off other books that I've read by the author. Of course, I'm only 90 pages in essentially, but so far I'm really enjoying it. We do follow all of the siblings, Beth, Nicole, and Michael. All of them are very, very different and also very estranged from each other, and I'm liking kind of going between all of their POVs in the story, and we're also following their mother in the past during the summer when all the bad things kind of started happening. So there's a lot going on in this one, but very, very interesting so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But I've also gotten to 30% in the guest room, and this is a thriller about a woman whose name is Steph, and she is recently divorced, and she's been finding all of these kind of weird things happening inside her house, and things that somebody is either inside her house or somebody's been breaking into her house, not trying to steal anything but just scaring her. And so she's kind of navigating life as a single woman, being scared to live by herself, while also trying to figure out if what's going on is like mostly inside her head or like if somebody is kind of after her right now. So it's pretty good so far. A little bit more of a slow burn than this one is, I would say, more of a slower thriller, but I am liking it so far. So hopefully the rest of the book is the same way and I can come back with a good report for this NetGalley arc. But my goal ideally would be to finish one or both of these two books by the end of the day to wrap up this snow weekend vlog, but I think the roads are actually okay today, so I might try to go out and see my boyfriend and maybe go play in the snow with him for a little bit. I don't know if that will keep me from finishing one book or the other. I think my priority would be this one because I'm more interested in this one right now, but we'll see if I end up going out. I'm not quite sure. I need to talk to him and see what the potential plan could be, but I'll probably hop back in here one more time to close out this vlog. But it was so nice having some snow days and some snow in Tennessee here, and we'll see how the rest of the weekend goes. But I'll hop back in here once more probably to end this vlog, and hopefully I can get at least a little bit more reading done while also mixing in some fun stuff as well. I do again. I'm gonna pee my pants. And then I heard it. It worked. Good morning, y'all. I wanted to come in very quickly and wrap up this vlog for y'all because it is officially Sunday and my reading for the weekend is largely finished. I do feel like I had a very great reading weekend. Of course, the snow day very much helped out with that, but I was also able to enjoy going out for little bits and playing in the snow and just kind of relaxing this weekend. I wanted to wrap up the books that I read. I realized yesterday that I forgot to wrap up one of the books that I finished on Friday evening, so we'll include that in this wrap up, of course. But this weekend I read several books. First up, I started and finished The Last to Know by Jo Furness. This was a NetGalley arc, the oldest NetGalley arc that I had on my shelf, so it felt very good to read this one and wrap it up. I will say that I only gave it 2 stars. I did not end up loving this one, unfortunately. It was very much a slow mystery, and I kind of had a hard time keeping my attention on the plot of the story, and I feel like there were kind of some trails that we were following that made the plot a little bit busier than it probably needed to be, and I just wasn't very interested in it, unfortunately. So I gave this one 2 stars, but I was able to get it off my NetGalley shelf, which was great. I also finished The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw, and I gave this book also, unfortunately, 2 stars. I talked about this book 2 updates ago, but unfortunately, while the plot was very interesting, if not very morbid, but I liked that kind of, the language in this book was so flowery and descriptive that there were parts that I had to reread over and over again, and I felt like I wasn't able to truly get into the story because I didn't quite understand what was actually happening and what was being described, if that makes sense. I'd recommend it for the plot, but the writing unfortunately was just too much for me, so not a favorite book of mine. Then I also finished yesterday evening, like at 9 o'clock, Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, and I surprisingly really enjoyed this one. I gave it 3.75 stars, bumped up to 4 stars on Goodreads, and then of course 3.75 on Storygraph. I've read 3 books by Geneva Rose now and have really strongly disliked 2 of them, so I was shockingly surprised with how much I ended up enjoying this one. The plot twist was bland for me personally, but the rest of the story was very fascinating, and I was very hooked on the 3 characters and the secrets that their families were hiding. So I think out of all of her books that I've read, I would recommend this one the most, and reading this one would make me curious to pick up more books by her in the future. So I was very pleasantly surprised by this one, and I'm glad that I read it, and I'm also glad that I really enjoyed it. I also got to almost a 50% mark in the guest room, and I'm not quite done with this one yet, of course, but I hope to finish it up today or tomorrow. But this is a very slow burn thriller about a divorced woman named Steph who has an empty room in her house, and she wants to buy out her husband's portion of the house in their divorce agreement. So she's thinking about getting some tenants to live in the house with her. She's very lonely too, so she's like, this will give me some company but also allow me to make some extra money on the side. But weird things have been happening at her house, and she doesn't officially have any tenants yet, but she wonders if somebody's after her and if the boy that I think is going to become her tenant might play a role in it all somehow, and trying to figure out what exactly is going on in her house because something isn't quite right. She's had some break-ins and people breaking windows, and she has no idea why this is all happening to her. I'll be curious to see where this one goes. It's very slow burn. It's not super mysterious in my opinion, yet the tension is not really all there for me, but I do think it might get a little bit creepier as we get further along into the story. Finally, I did finish my weekly sections for The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson. This is the fantasy book. I'm not done with it quite yet, but I am getting into it a lot more now that I'm 200 pages in, almost to the 50% mark, which is really nice. But I'm hoping for some good romantasy elements in this one, and I am very curious about the mystery aspect of it in terms of this door where monsters are coming in and Bristol potentially being the one to stop it. So I'll be curious to see where it goes, but hopefully I don't have to wait too long for the second book if the cliffhanger ending, which I'm expecting, is rough. So we'll see what happens with this one, but didn't want to put any stress on finishing it this weekend. I just wanted to get my weekly or my daily sections done for this one, which I did, so that felt really good. So overall, I read multiple books. I finished 3 books, started 1 book, and then made my progress in another one, so very happy about that. Thankful for snow days occasionally. That gives me the opportunity to just relax and get some reading done. So this is very much a fun vlog for me and very much a way to stay productive while also relaxing over the weekend. I love vlogging and updating y'all, so it's fun to come in here with some progress that I've made in these books and getting to kick off the year strong by being so far ahead on my reading goal already. So that's super great. If you had a snow day near you recently, feel free to comment below and let me know. Let me know what you did on your snow day, or if you relaxed and stayed inside. That's all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.